To the SimFormula Europe, powered by Nextview, actually right from the scene, Karen.
Yeah, for the first time in 3 years, we're here back for a LAN event, and it's going to be absolutely exciting. All the drivers on the same rigs, or using the same equipment. They're not from home, they are here in person, just behind us there, and it's going to be great to see how they can do when it's sort of a level playing field.
Definitely, I absolutely love live events, and I think that's what everyone's here for. Quite a lot of people travel to Maastricht. We're in the Netherlands, very, very close to the Belgian border,
yep.
And Spa-Francorchamps. So if you're driving there, just hop over basically to the Mac and watch the racing action live. Witness some of the best drivers going up for what? There's a lot of money on the line, Cameron.
Absolutely, 10,000 euros is on offer, 3,000 going to the winner, then 2,000 for second and 1,250 for third place. So lots of money on offer, and that is why these drivers have been taking it very seriously. They've been here since 9 o'clock in the morning practicing, getting everything set up. So it's definitely going to be a very competitive field.
Definitely, we got the big money and we got the big names in terms of driving. We've got 8 drivers here. This is the big finale 2023. The previous ones were online, unfortunately, due to the pandemic and everything. Now we got them all here at the SimFormula Europe, which is an expo. You can still come here and you can try out different gear and all that. We got the Interclassics in the back. If you have like 250,000 euro spare to buy a Ferrari, you could help over there, or spend your money better and actually get into sim racing, just like people like Risto Capit did, because he's one of the drivers here for RHA Esports, the team of Romain Grosjean. Big names, big teams.
Absolutely, and here they are on the screen. So there's 8 different simulators, and you'll see here where they are. So we've got Risto Capit and Thomas Ronhard. These are from RHE. They're an important team because the 3 years that we've ran this event, RHE have won every single one. So this is certainly a team to look out for. Then, of course, we have Jarno Opmeer and Jarl Tyne as well, who you will know from the top levels of motorsport.
Yeah, definitely Jarno Opmeer, one of the drivers, obviously won F1 Esports for Mercedes on the way in this one. Then Burst Esports, a team that, not just in R Factor, but across the entirety of sim racing, is well known with Tom Oldenmenger and Damon Skovron. Drivers that really have a shot here at winning the big share of the 10K. Bert Knops and Dennis Zita for Arnage. That's one of the, I would say, more local teams. I like that. I think that's one of the cool aspects here of the SimFormula Europe Grand Final. And these 8, they will go up. They already did qualifications. That's out of the way. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But they will go up in 2 races in a slightly, let's say, unusual format, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, with the two-race format, it is sort of a sprint and a feature race. And in the sprint race, it'll be 10 minutes long. We also have a top 5 from the qualifying order reversed. So that's a bit interesting to have the reverse in the first race and also in the shorter race. So this really gives an opportunity, opens the door for someone to have a good result before we then go into the main race, which is from the qualifying order, and that will be 20 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the usual. If you're still like me, kind of used to whatever the R-Factor 2 Pro Series did back in the days, we have a sprint race, yes, but that's the one with the reversed order, top 5, as you said already. We'll make for a very interesting race because we race in Maastricht. If you're wondering, wait, aren't you guys in Maastricht? Yes, we are. And there's also the same track in R-Factor 2, which is what we're racing. So city track. And I described it as it's basically Nordschleife with even less grass left and right because there's only walls.
Yes, it is. It's just full. I mean, you can see in the background, all the walls are there. It's a proper street track. It's very fast, though. Most of the straights are around 2 kilometers long. There's a big tunnel involved as well. And this car, the McLaren Senna GTR, this is effectively like a hypercar level car. So it's got loads of downforce, loads of power. It goes well over 300 in a straight line, loads of slipstream. So it's going to be hopefully pretty action-packed and maybe a little bit chaotic as well.
Yeah, if you saw any of the previous years, then you know you're in for a treat because there was action every single time on this track. And as you said already, over 300, I think 328 they reached on the long straight. That's quite some, I would say, in terms of speed. So it will be very interesting to see how everyone works with this slipstream. You see that here, very long, then into this floating right-hander. And Tom Oldenmenger, he got the pole position from Burst Esports.
He absolutely did. This was the reverse grid. So the top 5 names you see, they are the reverse order from qualifying. Oldenmenger, Ron Haar, and then also Tyen and Capit involved there as well. Before we get to Damian Skovron, so he actually has pole position when we get into the second race for Jarno Opmeer, Dennis Zitak, and Bernd Knops for Arnage, rounding out the back of your 8-car field. And because there's only 8 cars, they're going to be so close together. They're so close on pace. It's going to be very difficult to win this event, to be honest.
Yeah, quite stacked in terms of the skill that we see here. You said already, Damien, the driver that had the fastest quality time, but he now needs to find his way through in the sprint race because it is very important to still get the points in. Sprint points are less than main race, right? Because you get 20 points for the win and 35 points for the win in the main race. So it's a bit of tactics around here. Absolutely.
The main race, which obviously comes from the qualifying order, is the most important one in terms of the number of points. But you can't afford to have a DNF because even if you come last here, you're going to be losing out 14 points to the winner. So that's going to be hard to come back from in that second race, but I think we're just about to go green.
Yeah, they actually went green already if we're looking at the pace here, and we see Burst already under attack very, very early by the Roman Shaw Esports driver on the inside. I think that's Risto Capit that just made a move for the lead. Couldn't make it through, though. That still means Tom should be in the lead. Coming through the tunnel the very first time. You see it here, slipstream is so important.
And look for Opmeer coming in the background as well. Maybe trying to make it 3 wide. You see the bit of slipstream working out. Tyen trying to squeeze him off to the right-hand side. You're going to come up to a right-handed kink up here. Breaking through this corner is very difficult, and that's why they come back into single file, where the top 5 just keeping it nicely there. As you see, this braking zone so difficult.
I was, by the way, wrong. It's Ron Haar that's now in second, not Risto Capit. Kind of the wingman here for Ron Haar, trying to help him in this championship. As I said already, Jarno Opmeer, he had a shot there. And the tunnel, but without the slipstream, and there was nowhere to go either. It is hard to make that overtake stick, but everyone at least in attack range when it comes to these McLaren Sennas that we raced today.
Yeah, the slipstream works from quite far back here, so you're going to see Tom Oldenmenger. He's going to be under attack here from Thomas Ron Haar, coming into this from a really good result in the F1 Esports. Diving down to the inside. This is a spiral corner. There's multiple turns to the right-hand side. Tom Oldenmenger, though, holding it all the way around the outside, but Ron Haar keeps it to the inside.
Absolutely great driving by both here. See that respect and that skill they're showing in the very first corners of our race, but it will be Ron Haar coming out on top. This is the real corkscrew. We're not Laguna Seca, this is the real corkscrew, all the way down there in a right-hander, but it is the Roman Grosjean Esports driver that finds himself on pole right now. Oldenmenger still right behind, and he might even immediately get back into it. Look at how that slipstream works. Huge speed advantage, not disadvantage, and it was enough to immediately slot to the front.
And that's why you're going to see these drivers swapping positions. So where you are on the final lap, of course, is the most important. 10-minute race, and of course, with it being such a long lap around here, over 2 minutes, we've already had 1 lap, so it's only going to be about 5 laps in this race. Not very long for them to get the points in this sprint race.
We are slightly stepping out for the front runners here. Oldenmenger there with a great drift out of the corner up to the Autobahn once again. So this is really where we are. I think that's absolutely lovely that we have the opportunity here to race at the track where we held the event. Oldenmenger Oldenmenger, the big question is now, when you're running on Capet, do you maybe want to stay back and wait for that last lap? It is only a 10-minute race. We're already nearly 3 minutes into the race. You could chill out.
Yeah, with Oldenmenger, of course, being fifth in qualifying, he's probably going to be a couple of tenths slow in the race, so they're probably feeling like they're getting held up a little bit. And Ron Hard, I think, is going to get a really good run. Over 2 kilometers coming up towards that kink, but of course, it's so difficult to make that overtake stick. And they're actually pulling away from the midfield. Ron Hard now to the outside. That's going to turn to the inside corner. Oldenmenger, is he going to hold it all the way around the outside? We saw these two cars, these two teams going side by side in the background as well.
Really interesting with Ron Hard basically opening the line for Capita. I thought he might dive in there and get the slipstream of his teammate, but it wasn't enough. Also interesting to know, Skovron still in 5th. That is the real pole position, the fastest man in qualifying. So far, he could not make up a single position, which is really unfortunate for him. But his teammate still has a shot. But now under pressure of Risto Capit. And Risto Capit, this guy knows how to handle R-Factor 2. I mean, if there's someone in here that is ice cold and can make everything work for him, then it's Risto.
And he certainly can. Look at the Tom Oldenmenger blocking him to the outside. That means Capit's got to go down to the inside here, braking late. And I think he's going to do that just even easier than his teammate did. So RHG 1 and 2. Interesting fact, the 3 years that we've ran this event, RHG have won it every single time. Capit in 2020, Erhan Yovsky in 21, and then Yuri Toman back in September 22.
You know what that basically confirms? The win is more important for Romain Grosjean here than in Formula 1. Probably. That's how it works. I think Ronald actually went over to the second lane, helping Capit here with some slipstream right before the corner, and that's why that maneuver worked so well early on. But Oldenmenger now on the way back on the grid. Oh, he's closing to Capit. Tapped him a bit on the rear, spins out. Can he take someone else? Oh, that was really, really close. Luckily, Oldenmenger did not touch anyone else there, but that was really, really close. And just a small bump there on the rear of that center.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest corners on this track. You really sort of curve in the braking zone, then it's a hard brake after that one. The car goes really unbalanced. Unfortunately, Oldenmenger there, he's going to struggle to get back and catch up to the field. So 8th place is probably going to be where he's finishing, which is a shame because he had the potential for a good result with that reverse grid pole.
He was really, really close to Capit at that point, but as you said already, first of all, you have less downforce because you're already in dirty air. Then you brake and shift all the way to the front, rear gets really light, and they can spin around. This gives a chance now to Jarno Opmeer, who wasn't 4th previously, right? Skovron, everyone gained 1 so far, but now he has the slipstream of Risto Capit here for the long tunnel, and even Skovron is still following. The only thing I see is Ron Ha. If he now has a good lap, he might get them out of the window for slipstream, and then he has it in the backs without issues.
Yeah, it's so difficult to pull away. And talking of that, actually, Opmeer now going to the outside, maybe come up to 2nd place. He does so. Can he complete it in the braking zone? Yes, he can. Capit down to 3rd place. Opmeer slowly making some progress. He started a little bit further back in 6th place
he
in the race.
was even behind Skovron, true. He had a really good start then, because Damien did not move up ahead, but so did Opmeer, obviously the driver for Mercedes Esports, very talented and a very famous driver by now, with everything he already achieved in F1 Esports, for example, now on 2nd position. But Risto Capit, he will not give up. He still has that slipstream advantage. His teammate, we see that all the way in the distance there with the brake lights just turning on. Oh, look how close that was. I think Risto even went a bit too deep on that already, because immediately we see Damien right behind him.
Yeah, Skovron is certainly closing up, and as it stands, Ron Hard's actually starting to get away a little bit because these guys are battling. Ron Hard has always been gifted a race victory today, at least in this first race, because of that gap opening up. And as you say, if they get out of that slipstream range, which is generally around 1.5 seconds, then they're not just going to be able to just slowly catch up to him. And already we're getting to about 2 laps left at the end of this lap.
Really interesting now with Skovron getting involved there with Capit. This gives the upper hand to Jarno Opmeer. We see that here from his rear ring right now from that McLaren Senna GTR. There is a bit of gap already, but can Opmeer catch 1.5 seconds in basically 3.5 minutes to Ron Hard, the other RHG driver? I think that is a tough thing to ask for.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult. Just how close. I mean, look how close this top 4 are. Some of the best drivers in Europe here. This year was an invitational for these drivers to get here, but don't think they're not qualified to do so. All of these drivers are very good, and as you can see, look, even in the background, we've got Burton Knops there. He's only just really driven this car today in practice, and he's already up there in the top 5.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Obviously, there is a 4-second gap now, but we know it's all about the slipstream. Obviously, the top guys were a bit quicker as we dive into the tunnel with Risto Capit once again. But that does not look like attack distance here to Jarno Opmeer. I think the Mercedes driver is running away, at least for this straight. There's another long one. Could he catch up to the corkscrew? You think so?
Potentially, with the long run up towards that one as well. These straights, they just pull in. Just you can see on the time screen, just thousandth by thousand, and it just accelerates the closer and closer that you get. And as you come out of the tunnel now, you can see Obmir still holding on to that quite nicely. And Ron Haar's made a mistake there. He has made a mistake, and now he's got no rear wing. He's crashed.
Oh, all the aero, that's ton of work from the engineers gone, and the small tap with Jarno Opmeer, but all of a sudden it's Jarno Opmeer from Mercedes leading in front of Capet, then Skovron, Nobs, and oh no, that is Ron Haar also collecting another of the Arnage drivers here. Not great. Seems like you can't even say return to the track because you can't really go off track here in Maastricht.
Yeah, so difficult to do so. This is giving the opportunity for the likes now to battle for the race lead. Opmeer to the inside, Capet to the outside now, trying to hold it all the way around the outside. Managed to make that stick. That's very bold and aggressive. Now Skovron has been gifted another place here, up into third.
Absolutely impressive work here by Risto Capet, making that work around the outside, and Jarno Opmeer now has to defend against Damon Skovron, but he's still in second position. But he loses time now with battling against the Burst Esports driver. He wants to focus on Capet if he wants to have a shot at the win here as we're approaching the last 1.5 minutes.
Oh, Skovron to the outside. This is where his team Alderman crashed a couple of laps ago. This is such a difficult corner. Is Alderman, or Opmeer I should say, back out of that? No, he doesn't. He holds it firm on the inside to keep that second place. Interesting, Ron Haar DNF from the race. I don't know if he's going to get points from that, but let's see what happened to him.
Yeah, that is Skovron. That's not Skovron. This should be Ron Haar. Yeah, just overshooting the left-hander, kind of forgetting where he was. And that cost him his rear wing already, and then the car obviously gets super unstable. No chance there if you do not have the downforce working your way. But his teammate basically just picked it up and was like, no worry, man. I'll bring it home for the team.
Yeah, just under a minute to go. So this will be the final lap of the race. Once we hit 0, the second the leader crosses the line, the race is over. So final lap time for Risto Capet, and starting second place as well in the feature race next time out. He's in a very strong position. That's
once again the previous leader, Ron Haar, crashing out. That's where the rear wing went, and then Opmeer was right behind Opmeer. That was his moment. He thought, like, this is it. Leader out, I can take it. But in the end, it was Risto Capet with that amazing maneuver around the outside. Really impressive work by the Roman Grosjean Esports driver. But can he hold on till the end? Because there's Jarno Opmeer now, side by side, through the tunnel. Another shot for the Mercedes driver. I think he made it already stick in the tunnel. He did so. Can he block him off? Can he block off Risto Capet till the end of the lap, the last 4 seconds? So we know when they cross the line, that's the end of the race. But it's not done just yet.
Certainly not. 0 minutes to go, as you say, Rene. So this is the final couple of opportunities. Skovron's made a mistake in the background, but Nops is all over the back of him. It's a two-way battle now for the lead, and Cap is in such a strong position here in terms of the point standings as well. So if you can get this victory, you might be able to bring RHG home another victory around Maastricht.
Yeah, but Jarno Opmeer wants to make sure that does not happen again. So they kissed Risto Capet once again, trying to go for the outside. Jarno Opmeer a bit more elbows out this time around because he knows how this maneuver works. He saw it on one of the previous laps. So the Mercedes driver is still leading. Everyone gets close now. Even Damon Skovron, after the mistake, now catching up to the top 2. Nob's not really in a position to make anything work for him till the end of the lap. But can Jarno Opmeer bring home the first victory of the day?
And this will be so good for him. Starting from 6th place, of course, not a regular on R-Factor 2 either. Very good driver, but each simulator has its slight differences, and you have to get used to that. But I was speaking to him earlier, he was feeling very comfortable in the car and on the track, and is proving today, making 5 positions already and just 3 corners to go, and he might be able to get himself a victory.
Yeah, it looks so good when they slightly slide through these corners. Really high-speed battle that we see here, glowing brake discs during the corner, but it seems like Jarno Opmeer might bring home the first win. With that, the first blow against Roman Grosjean Esports. He said it, they won every single time. They come here, they win. That's the rule. But this time it's Jarno Opmeer taking the big points.
And Capet still with a strong result. He starts second in the next race as well. So he's got an opportunity to get a double podium, which will put him really good in the standings. Skovron finishing in third. He starts from pole position as well. So Capet and Skovron at the moment only 2 points apart. And then it's actually good to see the other drivers finishing the race despite their issues. Aldermenger in 6th, and Zetak there, who has obviously got some damage on his car there as well.
If we look at the race and how people gain position, let's be real here. Opmeer has a really big task in front of him because he gained positions. He raced well. That was an impressive performance, but still, he needed the mistakes to actually move up because it's not that easy to overtake all the time. He will start them back.
Yeah, so because he missed out on the reverse grid, he'll go back into 6th place. For the grid as well, and there's confirmation on the side of your screen as well. Yaltan, we didn't really mention him. He starts 3rd in race 2, 5th today, so outside chance as well, but it's really looking probably between Capit and Skovron with how the points are standing at this moment.
Definitely, if they have a clean race, then it should be between those two. Yaltan, you said that already, the BS competition driver, one of the Zebras. Absolutely love the livery. Shout out to BS competition for that one. They only have one driver in here. Same, obviously, for Jan Opmir. No teammate, no one helping him. Everyone else has a wingman.
The teammate factor is a good point, because RHG, they had 4 cars in 2022 and they definitely used it a little bit to their advantage. So Ronhar now, he's going to be starting from 4th place in the next race, so behind Capit, but what he might be able to do is get involved in the battles and maybe hold up some other drivers, allowing some seconds to open up the gap, and then maybe they won't be able to come back from that one.
Yeah, I just wonder, I think Ronhar has no chance at all anymore, because with the DNF, he shouldn't get any points, right? So. And then looking at the points they get in the second round, no matter what happens, unless everyone else gets the DNF, it's very unlikely for him to win. But you said it, he can be the wingman now. Turista Capit really helping him out here, taking home the victory.
And just to remind you of the prizes, 3,000 goes to the winner. So it is the combination of the points from race 1 and race 2 is how we determine the winner. 3,000 to the winner, 2,000 to second place, 1,250 to third, and then 750 euros to all the other drivers, assuming that they get to the end of the feature race.
I hope they will, because that looked like a good race, and I want to see more of that. It is just really interesting how much you can work with that slipstream, either to just get close, and as we said, like maybe wait behind, wait for the big chance, wait for the right lap, or do like Mr. Capit and just shoot for the outside, make it work. That through the corkscrew, that was awesome.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to be that little bit more aggressive and almost in an ego way, just have one up on your opponent to be like, yeah, I can do that ballsy move as well and make it stand. So that corkscrew corner seems to be one of the prime overtaking opportunities actually on the track. The one through the tunnel seems a bit easier, but that one into the corkscrew seems to be like, where you make your stand. So with Capit and Skovron, that might be where they need to battle, but here is the points as it stands. And
we obviously need to mention now the points that drivers got for the qualification. So the 3 points you see on the qualification for Damien Skovron, that's for the pole position. So he comes into this with a slight lead over Risto Capit. He's 1 point more in the qualification, I think. Oh no, it's 2 points or 4 points different between the 2 points. So they're now at the same. No, they're not. Damien is listed with 19. Did I completely...
Yeah, 3 from pole position as well.
Yeah, but I thought he would need to be at 20. But that's just me doing on-air maths. Never
Commentators'
works.
maths.
Yes, Risto Capit, 20 points. Jan Opmir, 20 points. That will be a big one to go into this one. Damien, 19. And then we see a Thomas Ronhar. We talked about that. DNF, no points at all. That really hurts.
Yeah, that is difficult. As you say, in the feature race, the difference between first place and 8th is only 12 points. So even if he wins and the top guys finish at the back, he's not going to win on points. So his only hope now is to help his teammate Risto Capit get a second victory at the SimFormula Europe.
But Nobs, the best driver for our Nash competition, are the drivers that you sometimes see behind us, because they sit right behind. Rick number 1, Risto Capit, is on the opposite side, very far away from us in this big hall. But they're here and they're kind of the underdogs, even though they're one of the, I would say, even original R Factor 2 squads in here.
Yeah, it's just such a top level competition though. And when there's only 8 drivers, being 3-4 tenths off, that is a lot, and you're going to be at the back. If there's like 25 drivers and you finish 8th, you're like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. But when there's 8 drivers and you finish 8th, you're like, okay, I really
it's the right race for me, because I can always come home and say, like, I was in the top 10.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Big competition, top 10.
Yeah.
Great. No one needs to know there was only 8.
Yeah, got the prize money as well.
Yeah, true. They even go home with 750 euros for last place. Could be worse in terms of an afternoon spent with sim
racing. It certainly could.
racing.
I mean, that covers their travel expenses, which I'm sure is part of the reason as well, which is nice. Obviously, being a LAN event as well, this is something, as we mentioned, we haven't done in a couple of years. So it might be quite news to some of these drivers. I know myself from Burst, this is Damien Skovron's first proper tournament, and the fact that he's up the front showing he's handling the pressure pretty well.
Yeah, it is different. You might not see that on our camera, but basically right behind them there are 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of seats, and then there are 1, 2, 3 segments as well. So it's quite big, quite a lot of people here, and they all look at your screen, kinda. Yes. It's a bit like, back in the days when mom came into your room and looked over his shoulder when you had the PC. That's just 10 times worse.
Yeah, but fortunately here you can't alt tab and go to something else. You have to stay in the game and make sure.
See that me sim racing again. Get out.
Absolutely, you got to. But actually, that's the thing. Really, is the keeping under control and keeping the pressure as low as you can, because obviously the drivers put pressure on themselves. For instance, Risto Capit, I was speaking to him earlier, he's obviously a full-time sim racer, so the prize money that he gets from this is important, because it's basically his wage, it's his salary above what he gets from other places. So it's important for them to try and win this, because it's their livelihood, and that's the level we're getting to in professional esports.
I mean, at least the top two are basically pay, right? Jan Opmeer, he is a full-time sim racer as well, which, let's be honest, I'm one of the old school guys. It's, to me, still unbelievable that we made it that far. It's amazing, right? Sim racing as a sport, it is packed in terms of skill. I always say that. I said that on the other expo. It's like sim racing is way harder than real racing. Damien Skovron, he will lead us into the main race in front of Risto Capit, then Jarl Tijn, and then Thomas Ronhaar. That are the top four.
Absolutely. Then on the second page, we've got Tom Oldermenger there, your pole position for last time. Jan Opmeer, who won that first race, he's got to do it all again in the main race, and then Zitak and Nops as well for Arnage coming from the back again. So they've got quite a bit of work to do, those drivers, on that second page. But as we saw, there's potential for accidents, and you can easily go from the back to the front if you're good enough.
Yeah, that's one thing, but we also saw that when there are accidents, it could easily be the end of your race as well.
Absolutely.
If you get touched here and then
also there was a couple of bad rejoins there, so you can basically get hit from someone. But here we go.
Yeah, we got the red lights. We will go green once again here in Maastricht for SimFormula Europe, powered by NextView. Good start here from a Roman Grosjean driver once again as Risto Capit takes the lead. Right away from the start. What a launch there on the McLaren Senna. And it seems like he will have to defend the inside against Damien Skovron right away. But the second Oldenmenger here, the second burst car on the outside, 3 wide now into Jan Opmeer already through. This guy really wants to win here, but they collect each other. That might even be a roll. Big wreck here in the tunnel. That is the end, definitely for Oldenmenger. And that was a ton of damage for everyone else involved. What a big start.
Absolutely. Opmeer, I should say, tried to make it 3 wide. All of them tried to make it 3 wide there out of turn number 1, and let's try and see. Actually, Skovron has already gone to the front, and Capit got past him coming up the hill, but Skovron managed to get back past there to hold on to the lead into this junction sequence. But it's really down to these top 2 now. Opmeer isn't really going to be winning the race from here, so it's really down to top 2, because Ronhaar as well has no points.
Yeah, Ronhaar can basically defend everyone off now for Risto Capit, and let Risto concentrate on winning the championship here against Skovron. But hey, I have to give it to Damien here. Losing right away the lead and then coming back and taking it away from Risto Capit, that is a big task, this big balls moment.
Absolutely, but this is a 20-minute race, so twice the length, so it's going to be around 10 laps or so here, so a lot longer for these guys to fight. And if Skovron sort of holds up Capit batting, Ronhaar's going to get involved, and as you mentioned, he's going to be taking points away.
Jan Opmeer slightly left-right wiggling into the corkscrew. This is the replay, 3 wide. We know 3 wide never really works. That's always harsh. And then Oldenmenger basically gets lifted up by everyone else. Jarl Tijn really got lucky here. I think that was minimal damage to the aero package, where if there's any damage at all. But for Oldenmenger, that was the end of the race.
Yeah, as you see, it's 2 lanes wide, so getting 3 cars there is very difficult. You have to be millimeter perfect, and you saw Oldenmenger, he was as far to the left as he can, and the car in the middle just had absolutely no space. They just got pinched, and when that happens, you get an aeroplane accident like that, and unfortunately for Oldenmenger, second race in a row, having a crash.
Yeah, I think it was Opmeer on the far right, and then Oldenmenger far left. Not quite sure who was in the middle though. Was that...
Might be in Ronhaar.
Ronhaar, yeah, right. He went through then, right?
Because I think he just sort of pushed through the middle.
Well, let's not forget, that was Jan Opmeer so early being super aggressive and already making up positions.
Yeah, because he knew he has to make this. So actually, Bert Nops as well, he had a good race trying to get past Opmeer. Now, Opmeer's of course got damage on that car. There'll probably be some top speed damage, maybe some stability damage as well, coming now into turn 1. Nops doing actually pretty good, coming from the back once again, but Opmeer now is really struggling.
Yeah, look at that. Even in slipstream, he's not really picking up pace. No. There's a lot of damage. That's very expensive carbon that we're looking at here from the McLaren Senna. I tell you, if that would be a real car, you would not be happy about that.
This is not going to be a nice view. But
Jan Opmeer couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So what should he do?
But look how thin it is. It narrows, it pinches a little bit just at that point, which is a bit of a shame for them. But we go back to the other burst driver of Damien Skovron here. He first place, almost a second to Risto Capit. He was pretty confident coming into this race. He was feeling good in the rig. Of course, all drivers using the same rig, the same screens, wheels, and pedal. So they just got to adjust the settings to their liking, and it seems like he was doing well, got pole position, and now leading the race.
Yeah, he's definitely definitely doing well here, and it seems like Risto Capit can't really go that pace as of right now. I wonder if there was also a bit of damage involved, or if it's really, as we say in the Le Mans Virtual, on pace alone, right? Like me beating Max Verstappen last year on pace alone. It's not easy, right? But as you said, Damien Skovron, first LAN event here, doing a great job, although touching the wall there a bit on the inside. And you need to worry about that, because you don't want to pick up a bit of damage here, a bit of damage there, and all of a sudden realize your car is half a second slower.
Absolutely. It's this car is quite sensitive. It's basically a GT car that's been made faster, so it still handles a bit like a GT car, because it's so fast and it's under so much more load because of how the aero that comes onto it with the downforce. It makes it very sensitive, and therefore you see through these fast corners it's very twitchy, and if you get a tiny bit of damage, the balance goes out the window and then you can't keep the speed up.
Risto Capit now closing the gap slightly, it seems, in between. Really interesting how Damien throws the car around there, rotates it with the throttle, lets the rear step out just a tiny bit to have less steering input through that corner. But they are definitely the two fastest driver right now, because Ronhard not really going the times of Skovron and Capit.
Yeah, and a 14.5 there, fastest lap of the race from Skovron, so he's obviously a little bit quicker than Capit last time around. We did see times in the 13s even with race fuel, so they are a little bit off what they could be, but of course they're battling, they're stressed out and all that sort of stuff, so it's a bit difficult to keep those times, but it's really turned in to a 3-horse race. Jarl Tyne just can't seem to keep up with these top three.
Alden Menger visiting the pits. That should be the end of his race for sure, because you will never make that up, or the disadvantage he already had after what happened there in the tunnel the first time around. But Nobs now under pressure by, there's Tyne here, the Norwegian driver, right, from BS Competition, who tries to move up in the field against the Arnage driver. Not easy, but look how close they have to get to the walls to get the ideal line through here. Slight slip here on Nobs, but really, really good exit.
Yeah, but look at the crumples on the front of that car as well. He's got some damage, but Nobs doing a great job to get himself up into top 4. He's going to be going, actually that's in the wall once again for Tyne, so he's certainly not happy with where he is, but Nobs is. I don't think he's going to be able to catch the top lot, but if he can get himself up towards, he's probably not going to get a podium on the points, but if he can at least have a half a chance, that is some more damage there.
Yeah, that looked a bit weird to me, because he had everything under control, and all of a sudden he just tapped it a bit. Once again through the Maastricht corkscrew, and Risto Capit is a bit closer to Skovron once again. And we just got from race director here, Ronhard, 15-second time penalty. Is this based on race 1?
It might be the rejoin, yeah, I would assume, because I don't think he's done anything in this race, unless they thought that he because he was sort of pinching in the middle of the 3-wide situation on lap 1 with Oldermenger and Opmeer, because he was going through the middle, maybe they thought he could have backed out. We'll have to find out, but either way, 15-second time penalty is going to really struggle him, because at the moment that's going to put him in 7th place. Yeah,
that brings everyone a bit closer. Nobs obviously would be 3rd then. Jarno Opmeer, unfortunately, I think this is really the damage, because we saw his pace previously. This is not Jarno Opmeer not being fast enough. This is just the car not being capable. But these 15 seconds that really hurt, we got the confirmation it was for the first race. So these 15 seconds are basically transferred over from the sprint race, while we get this beautiful, I would normally say Ruben Correa Alves slow motion, because that's what it always was, and he gives me the thumbs up, all right? So his signature moves are still there.
They certainly are, and we just saw Capit got the fastest time last time around as well, so certainly some pace left in the RAG car of Capit, but of course now we need to discount Ronhard even more, firstly from the points and also from this race, so it's really turned into that two-way battle that we were expecting. 12 minutes ago, so about maybe 5-6 laps left to go in this race, and look at Capit just coming even closer with the slipstream.
All right, so we now have the full overview of what happened while Capit now gets close, but it was an unsafe rejoin in round 1. That was a warning for Ronhard, and then failing to avoiding a collision around 2, which was that tunnel disaster that we had very early in this main race. So that got him the 15 seconds in total. So Damien, every single time he gets under a bit of pressure by Capit, he gets away quite quickly, and I wonder why. Is Risto not trying yet because it's too early in the race?
Risto always tries. I think he's a very smart driver, so he will know when to make the move stick. He's getting closer and closer up towards the corkscrew. Skovron doesn't defend, so he gets a good run into this sequence of corners. You see both drivers getting so close now. So Capit went up to almost a second, but it's now down to 3/10.
There we see the typical sim racing sock system. Although I found someone here with racing boots, I do the same. I prefer boots by now, not socks. but great shot that we get. That's why a LAN event is cool, because we can really see how much they work in this sim. Obviously not on the straight, he doesn't do much right now, but believe me, normally they do a lot of work in these sim rigs to get that performance out of the car. Skovron, do you think, we can say that here, you've got a burst jersey underneath your SimFormula Europe hoodie,
yes,
because it's obviously your team. What do you think goes on in his mind right now? How nervous is he?
I know he's a very cool driver, but of course he wants to win the same as everyone, and there's been a couple of occasions where he has made a tiny mistake in a couple of races where he was going for the win or for a top level prize, and Risto Capit, you know what he's like. He's Estonian, he is deadpan face, he's cool, he knows exactly what he's doing, shows literally zero emotions, but these two drivers are very confident in what you're doing, and as you see with how close they are on the lap time, I think Skovron, especially in that sector 3, I think he pulls away, but then Capit comes back with the slipstream. So how that's going to balance out when we get to the final lap, we'll have to find out.
Yeah, that will be very interesting. Obviously, there's currently a difference of 1 point between Risto Capit and Skovron. Skovron on 19, Capit on 20, which means whatever happens up front here, it's basically down to their positions. If Capit is in front of Skovron, Capit wins the championship. If Skovron stays where he is right now, that's 3,000 euros in his way.
Absolutely. 35 points for the victory, 30 points for second place, and then 28, 27, and so on, 1 point per position. So this 5-point gap between first and second really makes this feature race the important one. This is on the qualifying position, and this is where you need to obviously then get the points, because as you say, it's literally whoever wins now is going to win the championship.
Interesting double apex attempt there that we saw by Risto Capit. Same from Altayan. So we saw always the Anash drivers going the outside and then coming in for a very late apex. And then the second variant is what we saw here now twice, is to go the inside, break in a straight line to the outside, then come in again for a second apex. Seems like both are very similar. That is the car of Jarno Opmeer without a livery. Unfortunately, I might not be that good having a Mercedes star on that McLaren. And it's also damaged by now, but he's still hanging in there. He's 6th now, so he moved up 1 position. It's 2 seconds to Yartine. Do you think there's still a chance for Jan Opme here to at least give some more points?
Yeah, he might as well try, because if he can still get 3rd place in the championship, that's obviously quite a big jump from 750 euros for 4th place to 1,250 for 3rd. So 500 euros extra for just continuing on the race. That might be quite a good paycheck.
Yeah, you should never quit anyway in terms of racing. You never know what happens, right? We saw that leader losing his wing, and all of a sudden the race is wide open once again as Risto Capit still chasing the rear diffuser and wing of Damien Skovron. The view he had for most of the race, besides that very short moment that he was leading early on.
But the interesting part is he hasn't got back into that position, and even with a half a second gap here, you can see he's closing hundredth by hundredth down the straight with the slipstream, but he's not just freight training him like we saw a couple of other times. So maybe Capit is just waiting to as he brakes really late there. Maybe he's not waiting, but he's going to lose a couple of tenths on the exit.
Yeah, I wanted to say same, because we saw Risto Capit, going for the outside movements, corkscrew, right, trying to really be dominant up front, and right now he isn't, and we see him closing the gap every single time. So either Damien is managing this gap very, very well, or it's Risto managing it from the back.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because it's been half a second for so long now. So let's try and work out how that one's going to sort of figure itself out in towards the final couple of laps of the race. But for sure, Capit knows what he's doing, and therefore he will be calculated and to try and find the best position to overtake. As you see, a different line once again.
Yeah, but we always see the RAG drivers going for that line, and we saw Jarltine doing the same. But it will be interesting if Damien can bring this one home. First LAN, first big event, first victory. That is something to strive for, definitely. And because you will never have your first LAN event again. That's it.
You certainly won't. And it is a great experience. If you've never been to one, certainly get yourself down. There's so many expos opening up all over. Obviously, SimFormula as well. Been going for quite a few years now, and I'm sure we'll be back next year. But so many of them around. If you can get yourself down, even just get yourself into the audience and just see what it's like to be there. It's such a different vibe to when you're online and just on Discord chats and certain messaging groups. When you're here in person, you can see the people that you're racing against. It's such a better vibe.
It's even different for us, right? We hear the crowd every single time they're getting closer, or someone is side by side. We hear them in the background, the entire crowd. That is amazing in terms of the atmosphere here in Maastricht, and it's really worth it by the watching or driving on LAN events, because online gaming and online racing in general is great that we can do that nowadays, race against everyone from all around the world, but coming together as a scene and celebrating our sport like this and living through the most thrilling moments together, that's just nice.
Yeah, it's great. And of course, SimFormula as well is free to enter, so you can just walk through the door, come in and sit down. So it's a great experience, and we will be here tomorrow as well at the Mech in Maastricht. So if you want to come down, there's another racing competition, hot lap competition tomorrow as well. So the events don't stop here on Saturday. So it's great to see that we're back, and obviously, the pandemic is over for what it is in terms of these big events, and we can have them once again.
Yeah, we are very lucky when it comes to that. That's for sure. How lucky will Damien Skovron be? That is still the big question. Mr. Capit. Oh, we get a beautiful shot here of the audience. Look at that. Everyone out. No, that's good. They don't see themselves, so they're not waving right now. There's someone waving. Oh, now they do. Okay, the typical crowd now. We got it. Next up, we get Kiss Cam. Just wait for that one. As Risto Capit is losing out a bit now. We had him most of the time. He was around 0.6, 0.7. That was kind of the range. Now we're looking at 1.2 seconds. In 1.2, you drop out of the... It's a bit like Formula 1. You don't want to drop out of DRS window. You don't want to drop out of slipstream window here.
Yeah, the slipstream is quite major within that 1 second. So once you drop out of that, it's very difficult. And here we'll see, we always see Skovron in the final sector of this lap always pulls those extra couple of tenths back before we get onto the start-finish straight. Let's see if he does it once again, gets up to about 1.5 seconds. And then at that point, Capit will really be struggling to get back. So this could be an important point of the race. Just 5 minutes to go now in this second race here in Maastricht.
That just looks so cool when they come down the corkscrew there. It's a bit of sliding all the time, and you really have to brake super aggressive into it. One little mistake, you will catch the wall. That's the end of your race. 1.5 seconds by now. That's 1.5 seconds for Skovron. He really does an amazing job. And I wonder now what happens. Is there really Risto Capit not being capable of staying there?
I would assume so. I mean, he's a champion before, as we mentioned, RHG winning 20, 21 and 22, the last 3 years that we've done this competition. So they'll have a setup for this car because this car's been used each time. They'll know the track, but Skovron's just doing such a good job. 1.7 seconds, 1.2 seconds even, as we get out of the final corner.
Yeah, I think this is kind of in the books now, unless Damien does a mistake, and that is the next factor now coming in. He knows he would win this. It's all on him right now. It's not on Risto Capit whatsoever. It's all on his own performance, and there's always a risk for too much pressure on yourself and then making mistakes.
Especially as it's 2 laps to go as well, so there's some time to think about it or overthink about it. Yes. And realise, but as you say, Skovron there in the burst car doing a very good job, and they've easily left Ron Haar now 5 seconds off the lead is Ron Haar. Even Bernd Knops is even further away, almost 12 seconds back. So these two have been putting on such a pace, pushing each other further and further, making each other perform. And sometimes people actually get better under that pressure. Maybe this is an example. It
could be that. Talking about examples in terms of performance, Jan Opmeer, we talked about that a while ago. If you could pick a pace to get onto Yaltayan, this is not going to happen. There's still 4 seconds kind of in between them, so not really in striking distance just yet. That is the look at Damien Skovron's Rick number 3 here in our row at the Mech in Maastricht. Working hard. I love how relaxed he looks, like normal jeans. So I don't know, that collar doesn't really go well with the jeans and his shirt. Can we talk about it, Damien? Yeah. It's a burst collar.
Yeah, he just put his jersey on top of his jumper. Obviously wanted to keep it a little bit cool, because of course this is quite a big open room. It's not the warmest thing in the world, despite all the computers. But look at this gap actually that's forming. Capit is coming back now and even getting closer to his teammate Ron Haar.
Yes, Skovron really putting on a performance right now. It's always so sad because we love those moments when they're like great fights, and that's where that's what people remember. But having the guts, putting on this performance without mistakes, without touching the wall, and these lap times over and over again, consistency, that is crazy.
Absolutely. Look at the 2 RHG cars. They've got the number 7 and 8 all the way down the bottom. Number 8, of course, for RHG. I wonder if that's why Capit chose that rig. But you can see he's tried his hardest. But now that he's completely out of the slipstream, it seems he hasn't been able to keep up. And Skovron is coming to 1 lap to go. It will be, as we also see Zetak in the pit lane as well. So that might give a position to Oldenmenger.
Yeah, we'll see that. But Oldenmenger also, I think he went for over a minute of a pit stop.
Yeah, a lot of damage.
Yeah, so that took a while. Zetak needs a very long pit stop for that to happen, as everyone comes by the start-finish stretch for the last time, in this case, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of lap times. So Risto Capit is at his last chance here to close the gap to Damien Skovron, the young Burst Esports driver. That is his teammate, Tom Oldenmenger. Obviously happy that he still has a rear wing after what happened in the very first lap. Nearly got flipped over in the tunnel. Big disaster, kind of like a Macau moment of our own here at the Maastricht track. Well, Dennis Zitak now comes out of the pits. Does that work?
Oh, yeah.
Oldenmenger's coming around now on the straight. Way more speed, obviously.
Yeah, actually, that was about half a lap, though. So, yeah, Zitek's going to hold on to that 7th place. So it's really just down to Skovron and Capit. Can Skovron hold on to this? He's got about half a lap to go on this junction double apex corner before we get onto that back straight going down towards the corkscrew. Over 2 seconds it stayed, and that just increases a little bit through this middle sector. So as long as Skovron can not slow down too much, because sometimes when you slow down you make mistakes. As long as he can do some nice consistent corners, he can lose a couple of tenths and then he'll be able to get the victory.
You definitely need to stay in the zone. Like as soon as you now relax, that's the worst thing that can happen, kinda. You will definitely not pay enough attention. The last time that he has to break into the corkscrew, that looked absolutely flawless, very smooth. Then we got his chasers, basically Capit and Ronha. Ronha obviously will get the 15-second penalty added to his time at the end of the race, so he will not stay on the podium. But it seems like for the very first time in the history of SimFormula Europe here, powered by NextView, it will not be Romain Grosjean Esports winning.
Insane. I didn't think that coming into this. Ronha and Capit in practice, they were looking so good. They were setting the top times, and of course they have all the knowledge from the previous years. Skovron hasn't been to this event before, had to learn the car, learn the track, but he's certainly done it really well. Over 3 seconds lead, he got the pole position, the extra points for pole position as well, and it looks like he's going to be taking victory.
You might want to run over there, just make sure that he doesn't get signed by Romain Grosjean immediately after this race if you want to keep him around a bit longer with that big win here at the Mech in Maastricht. He comes up for the very last time, and it will be Damien Skovron getting his €3,000 share here from the big 10K prize pool with a win in the main race, a pole position in the qualifying before, and a great sprint race.
Perfect execution as well. He lost the lead to Capit on this first lap as well, then got back in the lead, just held on to it. All the pressure. Capit was half a second for lap after lap, and then he managed to get out of slipstream and just hold on to it. Didn't make any mistakes.
There are 3 big things. One is the consistency that we talked about already. The other one is immediately getting back your pole position after you lost it, because that hurts. You have the best starting position, you immediately go down to second. There's a bump on your confidence and your pace. And then you also managed to not break under that pressure, as you said, from Risto Capit for all these laps. So absolutely amazing performance, definitely deserving a win here.
Yeah, it certainly was, and to be honest, he's just done such a good job. Confirmation here of the drivers. Obviously, the Oldenmenger will come in when he finishes as well. Skovron taking the victory after 9 laps from Risto Capit, and Thomas Ronhard getting 3rd in the end. Bert Knops, great result from the back of the grid to get up to 4th, with Jarl Tubman and Jarno Opmeer unfortunately not having the race that they wanted.
I think there's not a 15-second penalty in yet. I think Bert Knops was knocked down by 15 seconds to Thomas Ronhard, so we should have one of the Anache drivers at least on podium for the main race. But what does that mean in terms of points? Let's quickly look. So Damien Skovron definitely 1st, Risto Capit definitely 2nd. Nothing changes there. Jarno Opmeer had maximum points in sprint, but only 6th in the main race.
Yeah, so he would have got 25 points along from his 20, so he's on 45. Ronhard won't be there. Bert Knops, I think, got 5th, so he's going to be on less than 40. So I think Opmeer should be good for 3rd place, because time was also around 4th, 5th.
That would still be big.
Yeah, so I think Opmeer's actually got 3rd place.
Yeah, that's like crazy.
6th place finish.
I mean, you got really unlike. I loved how aggressive he started the main race and going 3 wide there, and immediately saying like, "Hey, we want to get this done. I want to move up." And it's like, we can use the shot now. Now you see all the drivers. Yes, the Anache drivers right here. Then we have Burst right behind. Damien, who just got out there, already got the aerodynamic haircut. That probably really helped in the rig. And then it's the RHE boys all the way in the back. But you see, it's a great place here in Maastricht. I think it's one of the coolest forums so far that we did sim racing in terms of like audience. Yeah. People can watch from above. There's a gallery that you might see over my shoulder there, where people can watch. You can come down here and have a seat. Basically, then it's up there. There's a lot of equipment to try out. So even though it's free to get into SimFormula Europe, you might lose money if you see all the cool sim rig and all this cool sim gear we can't vouch for that. So, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many exhibitors up there. So again, if you want to come down either this afternoon or tomorrow to the Mech in Maastricht, you can certainly do so. The exhibitors will be here. They've got some wonderful products to show you, and that is really the whole point. This obviously this event is to show off the likes of sim racing. If you want to get yourself involved in that and into esports, get yourself one of these rigs. There's plenty of companies that will offer products to you.
Yeah, don't take these ones though, because we will still need them for the Hot Lap competition. Don't take them away. You can see them in the background already. We're building up here for the podium ceremony, and this should be the overall standings. Damon Skovron, 54 points, and the big win, 3,000 euros for him. Risto Capit, he gets 2,000 euros for second place, and then it's Bert Knops, 40 points though in third. It's not Jan Opmeer.
I had a slightly different points totals written down actually for what they were. So I think it was actually a couple of points per position, not one, which is how actually Opmeer went down. So my bad. It's actually Bert Knops getting, even though he qualified, what, 7th position?
Yeah, that's the underdog position getting onto the podium.
Wow, that's even more of an underdog story, because he started behind Opmeer in both races and managed to come out on top, which sometimes just show you how keeping it clean can actually get you a better result. So congratulations to him, because that is going to be the bonus of £500 compared to everyone else. So Damien Scrovon will be getting 3,000, 2,000 to Risto Capit, and then 1,250 to Bert Knops.
Yeah, really deserving it with a clean race. So he was out there racing, not very, let's say, highlight fitted out in terms of his race action, but it seems to work. You said already you got the wrong points written down. That can happen. If you ever wondered how we do all of this, there's mostly a notebook involved, but this one is special because Cameron wrote also in what he had from the Chinese yesterday. Was it yesterday or today?
Oh no, that was a couple of weeks ago.
That was a couple of weeks away. Special fried rice.
I think that was a Christmas special, getting the family's order of
spicy chili chicken. I like that. Now I get hungry. So let's instead concentrate on sim racing, because otherwise I'm really getting hungry, and you might hear that on the microphone. Very unfortunate for Jan Opmeer, I think, because he had the pace for a podium here.
Yeah, and also, well, in the end, he was only 5 points off as well, so just a couple of positions there. Had he not been involved in that, had he got, I think, 4th place where Knops was in the end, of course, he would have been able to get that 3rd place, which is a shame for him, because, as you say, he was one who, I would say, outperformed his qualifying position, because he made that move, or the multiple moves in race 1, and then he made the move to try and get the victory in race 2 as well, or at least get on the podium in that first corner, making it 3 wide. But when you take those risks, you get involved in accidents.
Yeah, burst here with the sandwich finish, kinda, with Damien being first, and unfortunately his teammate Tom Oldenmenger being last in terms of the standings. There is Andy Marson, that's basically Mr. SimFormula Europe. If you ever wondered who had this crazy idea bringing all of us together, that's Andy that you see there. Does he have the money right with him? It's not the money bags, is it?
No, it's gloves. I think each of the drivers who participated win some gloves, some racing gloves there, which is obviously going to be handed out to those drivers. So that'll be a nice little takeaway along with the money. And it's great to see as well, all these jerseys there. And as you said, we were talking about the LAN event. The fact that all these drivers can be there, and you can see they're all sort of being nice to each other. There's no animosity. They can have a tense race and then get some nice prizes as well.
Yeah, they starting off with... Why do they start off with Risto? No, he goes in a very weird direction, because he does now everyone. This is not the podium ceremony. If you were wondering, how did they end up with 2 RAG players? That is not the podium. Don't worry about that. Also, side note, BS competition, every single time I see them, they have a different color of their jersey. They have the rainbow ones. They're normally blue, grayish black. That's the one they gifted me, by the way. I have one at home. It's really, really cool. A great design. And now they have white and red. Yeah, and didn't knew that one.
They also have a yellow one for one of their sponsors as well. So there's certainly a very open team as such. And as you see there, we got Rene now, the Dutch commentator and presenter.
That's me in Dutch,
handing
basically.
Out the prizes to the top drivers.
Absolutely love it that they have someone that's also named Rene. I think it makes a lot of sense.
2 Renes.
2 Renes, yeah. There's always one involved somehow. And that is Bert Knops here. 3rd position for him, 1,250 euros going towards Anash competition, and a nice little drink. Obviously, don't drink and drive, so have that maybe after the Hot Lap competition if you want to take part there. Powered by Thrustmaster, by the way, Anash. Didn't know that, have to admit. Now we should head over to a position 2, and that will be a name that we kind of expected to win this. isn't it?
I think he would have expected to win as well. Obviously, previous champion in 2020, his teammates Yuyovsky and Toman getting the victories, but this time in 2023 is second place.
Yeah, Risto cap it here, 2,000 euros. Another bottle, he gets all of it. He already has the gloves. And then we head over to the winner. And there is a special thing here in terms of the winner, right? Because you wrote down augmented reality, and if you followed the SimFormula Europe accounts on social media, you might saw them scanning all the drivers.
Absolutely. So each of the drivers got a 3D scan, and they will be presented in augmented reality, and they'll have a model of themselves holding the trophy, and that will be obviously coming the way thanks to the Kick app. But here is Damien Skovron, the victor today.
Yeah, he gets 3,000 euros. And obviously the handshake, can't miss out on that. And as I said, the augmented reality inclusion, I would want that on my school. Like for all the times people told me in school that sim racing will never be an actual thing. That would be cool though. Also, my boss at ESL said that now they're doing sim racing competition. Should I go back there and tell them, hey?
Yeah, this is such a good moment to prove that sim racing esports is getting somewhere. Look how happy he is.
Yeah, he deserves it. That was an absolutely great race. It's an awesome trophy as well. Just since I saw that on the table, don't bump against it. It might roll off the table, but it's really, really good looking. And it is the Burst driver, Burst Esports here. Oh, we see the augmented reality piece. That's really nice. Where do you want it? You can now put that wherever you want, right? That was the deal.
Absolutely.
Wherever you want to put that somewhere in the world.
It's linked up to the sort of mat or card that's on the floor there. You can see the Kick app. And yeah, all the drivers are scanned, but Damien Skovron there, he is the one in history who will be holding the 2023 SimFormula Europe title.
Absolutely love that. Looks really, really cool. On that, Andy runs right through him. How could you? Killing the augmented reality here. But it was a good race. I love that. There was a nice length in terms of the races. We had a ton of action here. We had a great crowd, I have to say that. Really engaged, which is absolutely lovely. It makes everything better for us. And cameraman is now a bit... There's a lot of cables involved for LAN events, yes. Don't forget about the cables. Don't fall above it. It is not... It is different to online. Like everything needs a proper timetable, and people need to be at the right place at the right time. And I think they're now going for the interview. That's on the Dutch side, obviously, as none of us speaks Dutch. Do you speak Dutch, Cameron? No, you don't.
I do not. I've been around a lot of Dutch people in sim racing, but it's certainly a difficult language, and in an arrogant way, they all speak perfect English.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, I can also do only German or English, but no Dutch. So unfortunately, we won't translate that for you. But what we can at least do as a little shout out is look up Maastricht at Google Maps. Check how far it is from you. Sometimes you're surprised, actually, how close things are. Then get into a car, train, whatever it is. There's a train station right across the road, basically, to get into the MAC, which is the big expo and convention center here at Maastricht. And get involved. Meet everyone. Try out sim gear. Race a bit yourself. Maybe end up with a new rig. Say hi to Maxime, one of the influencers here, also content creator in terms of racing out there in the world. Just do something. Sim racing can be, it's not just online, you can touch it. Obviously don't touch people here, but you know what we're getting to, right? It is something real. Go there and enjoy it.
Yeah, and you can also get yourself involved at a very low level. So these are, of course, fairly decently priced rigs, a lot of equipment here, but it doesn't have to be expensive. You can get yourself in at the lower levels. You can still be competitive, and hopefully we will end up with some even more people, even more competition in the coming years. And of course, this competition specifically, hopefully, will be here at the MEC next year as well.
It was so far since 2020, so there's high hopes for 2024, but obviously still already the SimFormula Europe powered by Nextview is not over just yet. You can still come around for today, come around tomorrow. There are a lot of parking slots, by the way, but it's always something I worry about. But with the convention center being here, you don't even have to worry about that, where you put your car that's probably worth less than your sim rig. I saw that a lot already.
Yes, that's quite important. Some of these people, especially when you start getting into the motion rigs and stuff, they're spending tens of thousands, and then they show up in a car that's obviously a couple of thousand. And certainly that is a possibility, but as I said, you don't have to spend that much money. And a lot of the drivers actually said, in previous years we've had motion rigs for this event, but the drivers actually said they prefer like the static rigs for the esports, because when you're trying to get that last tenth, you don't want any distractions.
I think it's something important to highlight, like no matter how much of the high level stuff you see out there in terms of rigs, which might like sim racing to people that are not from the scene yet, look very expensive, it isn't. You don't have to start on that. None of us went out there and bought a 40,000 euro motion rig as his first rig, nor does it really take away the fun of racing side by side, wheel to wheel in sim racing. Doesn't matter which, get a steering wheel, whatever it might be, put that on your table, get involved in sim racing, because it is a ton of fun no matter which gear you bring with you.
Yeah, I mean, at home I've just got a desk. I've drilled 2 holes in it and bolted. I don't even have a proper frame. That's probably something to look out for in the future, because when you see these things, they are certainly a luxury item that you definitely want to have in your room.
I know, it is cool, and just now that everything gets so big in sim racing, I think that's an important thing to talk about. Hey, it's not all about just paying money. This is not a real motorsport. You don't have to come around, spend 50,000 to actually win it. We had several drivers that really surprised me along the years now that we had big competitions, that at home had a G25, whatever, winning it in front of everyone who's like sponsored, has big rigs, whatever, triple screen. You don't need that.
Yeah, it's definitely quite a level playing field, actually, because you have a lot of ability to customize it to how you want. So obviously today all these rigs are the exact same, but when you're at home you can obviously change the ergonomics of it, you can change the equipment, the hardware as well, and you can just set up exactly, and also the settings. There's so many software settings you can change now for the maps of the pedals, and you can get them absolutely perfect, and because of that it allows you to make it how you want and be fast. And
you can have every style by now, like GT, Formula styled rigs, karting rigs. I tried that last time around.
Yes,
really interesting. It really gives you the right feeling, because it's a bit of bus driver sitting position. Let's be really with a view from top of the steering wheel. But no, everything is possible nowadays, and you can do all of that, do whatever fits your room, your budget, and maybe which car class you want to have fun with. Although, what I love about sim racing is that you can do whatever. You could race a Formula 1 race and then 20 minutes later be in an LMP on Le Mans.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where you have a completely open scope. As you say, you go from karting to Formula 1, basically. And with that, you can obviously learn all the different styles, and so many teams use it for education and training as well.
All right, this is it for us, at least, but not obviously from SimFormula Europe here in Maastricht. Make sure to check us out, come around, follow us on social media. That's another big thing, right? There you can see the scanning process, which look quite cool as well. But the 2023 edition found its winner. There's Damien Skovron from Burst Esports. And there's nothing else to say other than thanks for coming around. Cameron, it was nice. My name is Renee, and we see you guys next time. Bye-bye.